This podcast contains graphic content, including descriptions of fatal animal attacks and graphic depictions of human remains with significant trauma. It may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of This is Africa, the podcast. Today we are super lucky because we've been joined by a fully qualified Zimbabwean professional hunter who hunts all around Zimbabwe. He is also a problem animal control wildlife officer. So that means he goes around and gets rid of all the animals that are causing the villages strife. He is a good friend of mine. He goes by Uncle Steve, but his real name is Steve Curle. Steve, welcome to the This is Africa studio.
Thanks, Andy. Great to be here.
This is Africa podcast is brought to you by Swift Bullet Company. Super nice to have you, Steve. I've been excited to have you in here, only because you've got so many cool stories and I want them.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. I think let's try and start with why did you get into wildlife? I mean, how did you and dealing with local people, this exciting life that you live? How did it all start?
I think going back in my history, arrived here at 6 weeks old, raised on a farm in a rural area, did a lot of hunting on the farm, got involved with anti-poaching as I was growing up, even from a young age. I spent a lot of time with the locals in very rural communities and started to see, even back then, many years ago now, the human-wildlife conflict and the human toll. And just something that I slowly grew into, and it became a passion of mine to try and help wherever I could.
That's awesome. So that learning of all the traditional stuff early in life has obviously helped you into what you do now. And what is it that you do now?
My main focus is problem animal control, mainly with human death. Human-wildlife conflict resolution is the new politically correct term, but mainly trying to help families that have suffered through animal attack and human death. And I think that's my main focus that I'm involved in at the moment.
It's obviously something you enjoy, but is it also a calling, or is it?
I would call it more of a passion, something that I feel like I'm actually making a difference, as opposed to virtue signaling or saying the right things or looking the right way. I'm actively on the ground helping families that have been directly affected. And that's something that's not often spoken about.
Steve, I've obviously been out a lot with you with our videos on the problem hyenas. What is causing these hyenas and humans to have such a serious conflict?
I think because the number of hyenas have increased so greatly that they're moving into villages and actually into some towns as it is now. Also, the lack of food for that amount of prime predators has caused them to now do a lot of livestock predation as well as human attacks. So I think it's just the sheer number of hyenas have increased, and it's like we can't really keep up. I think our highest number of human attacks in 1 year in this country was 46, to give you an idea of the attacks on humans by hyenas. And that's normally life-altering injuries or death.
And obviously the humans are also always trying to, well, not trying to, but they are just breeding and taking up more space.
Yeah,
so you've got the hyenas coming out and
a lot more prime predators and a lot more people.
Okay. It's a recipe for disaster.
That's correct.
You know, both have a place to be, and unfortunately it's not Disneyland where they can all just live and play together. I mean, that one hyena. We went out to that hyena call out, and one hyena had attacked 3 people.
That's correct, yeah.
Do you remember that? That one woman lost
Both her hands.
Both her hands.
Yeah.
The gentleman lost, I think, his bottom lip, and he had a couple of bites on his back and his
Correct.
arms.
Yeah.
And then the other person was also lost fingers.
Yeah, lost fingers off both hands. So it just depends. You do get your occasional animal that's out of the ordinary. Like I said, there's one croc that's killed more than 30 adults before I found it. But I was only notified 5-6 years later it was going on. So you do get the exceptions. But there is a myth I'd like to break, and that is a lot of foreigners say, well, the animals were there first. And the people are the problem. But a lot of areas that I go to have always been traditional villages. There was never a national park. It always has been a center for human development, even if it was just huts 100 years ago. And what's happened is the population of animals has increased to where the animals are increasing even into the original village areas. So it's not as straightforward as just simply saying, animals were there first. Unless you're talking about dinosaurs, then maybe I'd agree. But in a lot of areas, it's just the explosion of the population of, like I said, your prime predators that are a problem. That also includes your crocodiles as well.
Tell us that story about the kid who lost his face.
Rodwell.
How did that happen?
They were at a church meeting at night. They had an all-night prayer. The kids wanted to sleep. The adults were inside the church building doing their prayer meeting. So the kids were sleeping on the outside of the building around the walls. And just so happens, a hyena came by and they see children as a food source. And they grabbed the Rodwell by his face, ripped it badly. I don't know.
Was it one hyena or 2? Or?
It was one big hyena. And started actually carrying him away. And just by coincidence, the child's body got stuck in a thorn bush. So the hyena kept ripping and eventually pulled the kid's face completely off. So he's had reconstructive surgery and he's alive today, thankfully. But that was close. Most cases I go to, I'm doing a body recovery, not from an injury.
How did he survive that injury? I mean, you see the picture and it's a hell of a graphic.
I don't know how he survived, to be honest. Because his whole lower jaw, nose, and cheekbones gone, one eye's missing. And the whole experience was terrible because he got bitten at night, put in a Scotch cart, taken to the closest clinic without even an aspirin or a painkiller. And then he was taken overnight again.
How far is that now?
That's where we went, near where that woman had her hands bitten off. So you're talking about, it took him 3 days to get to our capital city hospital before he was given any pain relief. And that's with most of his face missing, and his eye was actually laying where his ear should have been. So he's got one eye left and he's been rebuilt, but it's quite terrific. And I'd like to say most people don't understand hyena attacks are deadly. And if you are attacked, you're going to lose something. The bite force is extreme. So I've got a lot of cases where people have lost hands, fingers, especially the face, feet. Whatever. If you do survive, then it's a life-changing event where you are now disabled to some extent. And people don't realize that.
Is Rodwell an isolated incident, or are there more? Have you got any other examples of people or kids?
Well, as far as Rodwell surviving, being a child, that is unique. Most of the children that are attacked by hyenas, I'm doing a body recovery, and I've got a number of photos of those. There's one incident where a child was playing soccer right outside his front door, and the hyena just ran up and grabbed him by his back, picked him up and ran away with him. Obviously killed him and ate him. I think understanding how hyenas attack will also give you an idea of why I do what I do, because when hyenas kill, they pull the guts out first, then they eat the internal organs, and then they'll eat whatever's left over. As opposed to a cat like a lion or leopard, they always go for the throat, either break the neck or suffocate. So if you think about a child dying in that manner, and I'm not exaggerating, it's quite horrific to think that your insides get pulled out first and you die slowly as the hyena eats you while you understand what's going on. So that's particularly why I like to discipline hyenas a lot, is because I have personally seen what they do to a child or to a human.
We all know that the village areas, they do manage to kill most of the game around as food, the villagers.
Yeah.
How do hyenas evade the villages, because they're one of the few animals that you will find living in and amongst villages.
Hyenas are exceptionally intelligent. They're very difficult to hunt, especially a problem one in a village that's been chastised by people. So you have to outsmart them and outthink them in order to actually win. It's not as easy as it looks. The other thing to bear in mind is if there's no game left, as you pointed out, that means they're either living off of livestock in the village or people themselves, and that becomes their food source. So the attacks on humans is increasing greatly.
You often see those hyenas with a scar from
a snare. Yeah.
From a snare, and I think their teeth and their bite force also helps them to get out of snares.
That's correct.
Whereas other animals, even leopards and stuff, they don't have that power to bite cables and.
That's correct. Even this last week, as I said to you earlier, I shot a hyena that had a foot missing. So that means it would have got its foot caught in a trap and actually bitten its own leg through in order to escape from the trap, and it healed over.
They are incredible animals, though, aren't they? I mean, to do that kind of thing and survive. You said that same hyena had no foot, one eye.
That's correct. That thing was battle weary, I reckon. Had been through a lot of battles.
Yeah, no, they are a very awesome animal and survival experts. But that does put them in direct fire with humans, doesn't it? Yeah. Steve, it's not only hyenas that you go out for. What would you say, which species of animals is sort of the second most problematic?
I think the first one is crocodiles. Second would be hyena.
Yeah.
Crocodiles kill a lot of people every year. I think most of my body recoveries is crocodile related. Either the corpse floating, rotting, or shooting the crocodile and then removing the body parts for the family. Last year I did 21 crocs, and I did 7 corpses myself, and then the other ones with bits and pieces inside.
Yeah, those are some crazy numbers. And that's not even touching how many. I mean, we're talking about just in Zimbabwe now,
That's
right?
That's correct, yeah.
And crocodiles are found throughout Africa. They just, that dinosaur that just...
That's correct. Now crocodile everywhere in Africa. If there's water, there's a croc.
For sure. And, I mean... I would love to know the numbers of how many humans are killed by crocodiles in Africa every year, because I don't think even the crocodile expert counting death of human people know how many.
They've got no idea. So, like I said, the croc I mentioned earlier, someone's killed, it's mentioned to the local police. The local police do a death certificate and burial order. The person's buried, it's a villager, no one cares. National Parks doesn't hear about it. Eventually, when someone does hear about it, then I'm called. So there's a lot of death that goes unreported. So even if you look at official statistics with national parks, you're not going to get a true reflection of how many deaths there actually are. And the other lie I want to debunk is hippos do not kill many people at all. They might kill a few tourists every year, but as far as numbers, crocodiles are way ahead by a huge margin. So yes, they might kill a few tourists, like I said, and your local or your international wildlife producers.
That guy in the little canoe.
That's it.
He's also a target for hippos.
So yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But as far as life in general, crocodiles by far.
And I suppose the thing is as well with the crocodiles is a guy will go fishing, and he'll go on his own. He just won't come back. And nobody know what happened to him.
Yeah, so there's a crocodile I shot in town, actually, believe it or not, in a small river that had killed a woman. The body was recovered. Out of curiosity, I opened the stomach to see. Normally you find bangles or jewelry, or there's always some stones in there that look very polished from the stomach acid. So I opened it out of curiosity, and I found 2 different men's left feet in the stomach from 2 other victims that were unreported. One still had the shoe on with a foot inside. So you just never know what you're going to find. But like you said, that's an unreported case. So if a guy is on his way to his rural home, doesn't have a cell phone, tells his wife, I'm on my way, and gets eaten, it's only 6 months later when she realizes there's no one there that she puts in a missing persons report, or she might never thinking the husband's run away. And same applies with the woman.
Yeah.
So there's just a huge gap where nothing's ever reported or known, and people are dead.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean, tell us that story. I remember you once told me, but I can't remember the story. But if you can tell me in detail, where you found there was a blind A blind
Yes.
kid or what?
So what happened was in a place called St. Albert's. There was
Where is that?
That is, you can see Kabora Bassa from there on the escarpment in Zimbabwe.
Okay, so
By Mazarabani, yeah.
northeastern.
That's directly northeast from where we are.
Okay.
So there was a very old person looking after her niece. The niece was blind, and they were destitute, and they were in a village.
A very old person being a woman.
That's correct, an
Okay.
old lady. I think she was 80-something, to be honest, but very frail and small, and they had nothing. They literally had no food. So
where were they living?
they're just living in a hut, begging off of the people around them. So eventually the old lady, I forget the name, said, let's go try fishing because there's nothing else we can do. Borrowed some fishing rods. Took the blind niece with her.
How old was the blind niece?
I think 47.
Okay.
It's just how it is in Africa.
Mm.
So the old lady took the niece, put her underneath a fig tree of all things, about 100 meters from the river where there was shade, told her not to move, said she'd go fishing, and that was it. Never came back. Day and night came, day and night came, day and night came. 3 days later, some guys got lost, fortunately. Walking actually across from Mozambique, coming up to try and find St. Albert's Mission. And they walked up the river 3 days and nights later and heard the crying. And went to look and found the blind niece still sitting underneath the tree, very, very dehydrated and barely alive. And the niece was in tears, hysterical, thinking that the old lady had left her there to die for the lions and hyenas which roam that area because the old lady got tired of looking after her.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, it's quite, you can imagine the trauma
Shame,
of...
for 3 days to sit there thinking you've just
and
been
there's a lot of
abandoned.
hyena there, yeah. So you're going to sit there at night and hear the hyenas and wondering if they're going to get you or not. So anyway, those 3 guys carried her to the local police station, made a report. The police went looking for the old lady, couldn't find her. I went down by the river. Then they were surprised. They found the fishing rods were there, the shoes were there, the backpack was there, the bottle of water was there. Couldn't figure out what happened. And one of the police noticed a bit of blood on a rock and said, hey, there's a problem. We don't know if she's been murdered or what's going on. But there had been reports of croc attacks in that area. National Parks phoned me to come and take a look around. And I did a walk up and down the river and saw a very large croc. And the way from its behavior, it acted naughty like a child that had stolen something. So as soon as it saw me, it disappeared, and then I waited and it came back out. And I shot it, and when we opened it up, of course, there was the body parts inside of that croc. So obviously that old lady went down to fish, threw her lines in, stuck the rod in the sand on the water's edge, and got taken out by a croc. So there's things like that happen that people just have no understanding of. I mean, Africa is very raw. It's not for the simple-hearted, should I say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crazy, sad story. I wonder who looked after the blind niece.
I'm not sure.
Mm.
When I went to the police station to drop off the crocodile, I wanted to talk to the niece, but she was still in hospital. I think the stress of 3 days and 3 nights, physically as well as emotionally, must have taken quite a toll. So I never actually got to see her.
Well, hopefully somebody's taking care of her.
Yeah, the system is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think African local people are tough, eh? I mean,
Very.
tougher than we'll ever be.
I think I would have
mean-
died of fright the first night. I don't know what spending through.
Oh, no. Yeah, crazy story. Have you got any other croc stories that are out there?
Yeah, there's some very emotional ones. It's always hardest when there's children involved. One particular story, a child was struggling in school, finally got good grades. This is very close to town, in fact, along the Mazoi River. The parents were proud of the child, finally, applying themselves. So they decided, and Africa, India, as well as I do, most kids don't have a pair of shoes when they go to school. So the parents decided to buy him a pair of shoes to encourage him. And the very next day, he was walking across a little stream on some cement bags. You know how they make little bridges out of sacks. And he slipped and his shoes got in the mud. Then he thought, look, my parents are going to beat me for getting my shoes dirty. So he took off his shoe and went to the edge of the water where it's only about 2-3 feet deep to clean off the shoe. And as he bent over, a very large crocodile grabbed him. And he was with a bunch of his friends. And they started screaming and the locals came running. But the particular area of water where the crocodile grabbed the child was too shallow for him to drown the child. So they told me at least 15 minutes the locals and the other children were throwing rocks and sticks at that croc to try and force it to release the child, and it never did.
Where was it holding the child?
Holding him around the waist.
Oh, man.
So it did death roll a few times, but the child kept screaming. Eventually the croc got enough of being sticks and rocks thrown at it and went upstream and went into a deep pool and drowned the child. And then I was called the following day, and I went out. I took down the bags so the water would flow, and then the water level dropped, obviously. Then I went and shot the smaller of 2 crocs, but like I said, it was acting guilty. I took it home and opened it, and there was obviously body parts inside of there. And then the second day I went back to the river to look for the remainder of the corpse and managed to find what was left of the child and present it to the family. But like I said, it's the hardest thing is to see children in their innocence being killed by animals that are extremely efficient. But in this case, because of the horror of what happened, it always hits home a little bit harder. Last year again, I went to Missouri River again. A 5-year-old was taken while the mother was doing washing on the side of the river. We did a very large search, couldn't find anything. Obviously, a very large croc and a 5-year-old, there won't be much left. Normally the whole body is consumed. We did find some of the intestine floating, and that's about it from the child. And then I distinctly remember I was walking back up the gorge with the father to go back to the truck late in the day. And I looked down in the river, and there was a woman walking around probably waist deep in the water, moving her feet and arms around in the water. And I said to the father, I said, "Hey, this woman's mad. Doesn't she know that a child was just killed by a croc?" And he said, no, you don't understand. That's my wife. She's lost her mind. She's trying to find some remains or something to remind her of her child. So there's a lot of that human aspect that people don't see or ever understand about pain. You know, cultures might be different, languages might be different, but pain is always the same. And I think that's one aspect most people will never see.
How do you deal with that? All those, because you do you there for the body recoveries, and it's pretty gruesome. How do you deal with that?
That's a very good question. It's never easy because every story hits home. I just think I've been doing it a long time. I think, to be honest, if it didn't affect me to where I felt like I was helping, then I probably would stop doing it. So it's not as if I'm jaded or I've become hard-hearted. I think quite the opposite. Because I see the humanitarian side of things, then I assist more, not less. Like I said, last year alone was 7 bodies, corpses, plus 20-odd crocs with bits and pieces inside. So if I didn't have a passion for helping people, I wouldn't be doing it, eh?
And the crocodile story is never going to end, is it? Because they're such incredible surviving animals. Like we talked about the hyenas, but the crocodile even more so. I mean, he'd been here since the dinosaur times. And they move great distances across land as well. If you think you've taken all the crocs out of a body of water, you probably haven't, and then more will still come anyway.
Yep. So what happens, Andy, is every year females lay their crocs in the same spot. Any expert will tell you that. But the males...
Lay their eggs.
Yeah, that's correct, the eggs, yeah. So then the males move, and that's how the genetics change. The actual big male crocs will move around quite a bit, and they do go great distances. So what happens is there was never a croc there before. A guy's been fetching water there for 10 years. A big male croc moves in, bang, the guy gets taken out. And everyone says, but we didn't know there was a croc there. So there is that aspect. Also, like I said, national parks, they've regulated crocodile hunting from I'd say the early 70s, where they were hit quite hard. And the numbers have just bred up again to where there's too many. So like I said to you, my belief now is if there's water, there's a croc. And that's just how you have to be cautious when you go out in the bush.
No, I know. I mean, every time we go spearfishing or anything here, it's always you always get that feeling.
I'll get a phone call for
one
you
of
just
these
now.
big dogs is watching you.
Yeah, well, last year, like I said, early last year, a guy was spearfishing and got taken out. So you're never safe.
No, that's why I don't like to go spearfishing alone. You always feel better if you got a buddy.
Ignorance is bliss.
50-50. No, for sure. And it's something we teach our kids as well. Don't go near the water.
That's correct, yeah.
Because there's just so many stories. Guys going fishing on a boat, stick your hand over just to wash your hand.
Yeah, fingers gone, yeah, if you're lucky.
Snap.
Yeah.
And they're so clever as well. Some crocodiles will learn that people are reeling in fish, so they
That's
go and
correct.
sit under the
That's
boat and
very
just
common,
wait for the fish to come. That's what they say. You never grab the fish out of the water with your hand. You use a catch net.
Yeah, keep net or catch net.
Yeah. Crocs also they can pin this person is coming to this place at this time of day.
Very common.
And they sort of clock it, hey? They figure it out and they say, okay, and then eventually they'll come and lay ambush and then whack.
It's a predator, so it patterns people.
Mm.
So like at one particular school where 2 children were killed, they watch every day, 4 o'clock, the kids come down to fetch water. Every day. So they just go and they just lay there when they're hungry, and when the kid comes down, they grab one. They watch. They're very, very patient killers. And they do definitely pattern people. So if people do the laundry same spot every day, they know when they want a person, that's where to go. They're not stupid by any means. They're very, very intelligent.
They're built to kill. That's
They're very strong, yeah.
If you think of what does a crocodile do? He mates, he basks in the sun,
and then he
eats.
He kills, that's it.
Yeah, there's not much playtime involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn crocodiles. It's funny that, like, as hunters, that's one animal that you never really get too much trouble about. Although I know some guys who hunted a croc last year, and I think the Greenpeace got hold of it and gave them a hell of a... They dragged the croc with the Land Cruiser to go and hang it in the tree to take photographs.
Okay, but when it's dead, can it feel anything?
No.
So it doesn't matter.
No. And it's a crocodile. They're going to be here way after we've gone, I think. The crocodiles, my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Arno Bernard knives, folks. These knives are tough enough to use and nice enough to collect. If you go to africansportingcreations.com, you can check out these knives. Folks, they come with an amazing arrangement of handles, including mammoth tooth, warthog tusk, and kudu bone. So, folks, check out africansportingcreations.com for your Arno Bernard knives. They'll last you a lifetime, and they are super, super good looking. Back to the podcast. Elephants and things as well. There's a hell of a lot of deaths in Africa from elephants.
There is, but let's talk about lions a little bit, because that's almost unspoken of since the Cecil issue. But lions do eat a lot of people every year, but like I said, yet again, it's not spoken about because it's not a popular topic, and it's not always a wounded or a sick lion. Sometimes it's big males in their prime. It's just they're opportunistic feeders. Like I say, the big males get pushed out of a park or out of a safari area because there's too many. They move into a village. A guy will be walking home at night, or children from school early morning. The lion sees them and kills them and eats them. And it just becomes part and parcel of the food chain.
Yeah, it's just another easy prey target. Doesn't see a human with a life.
A human hasn't got horns or teeth or claws. They're actually very easy to kill for a lion. So the lions end up eating a lot of people.
You know, I always hear the stories of the man-eating lions of Savo and this.
I know that story well.
But on smaller scale, does it happen here?
Left alone and unchecked without someone who knows what they're doing, obviously the numbers would be a lot greater.
Mm. Yeah, I think, maybe back in the day there wasn't so many people who could deal with a problem lion that's killing people. But nowadays,
that's correct.
There's a lot of professional hunters and guys like yourself and that do that work, because obviously lots of people getting killed. It needs to be taken care of. Touchy subject, but have you shot any animal off a human carcass? I know this is probably like
that's an easy question to answer. It's obvious that I have. When I have arrived on time, especially with crocs, you find them holding the corpse in their mouth when they're going along the top of the water or guarding it. So if you find the corpse, you set up an ambush. If the croc's not already holding what's left over for eating tomorrow, then it's at least right next to it. And then I have shot a lion that was carrying the corpse in its mouth at night while it was walking from a kill site. So it does happen because that's just part and parcel of what I do. Especially with crocodiles, my goal is to try and deal with the crocodile before it actually eats on the corpse or the human body while it's still, let's call it, fresh.
Okay.
So I try to react. As soon as I'm phoned, I've got my box of food and drinks ready, jump in the truck, and I make a move to get there as soon as I can. It's not always possible, but on many occasions I've managed to recover the bodies before the animals manage to feed.
In terms of tactics with these man-eating crocs and stuff, what are some of the things you use? What are some of the techniques?
It's every situation is unique, so it just depends. If like I said, if it's a known croc, it's easier. Local knowledge is king. There's a lot of people along the river that can at least point you in the right area. You can use an electronic collar. You can use your natural mouth call. You can get a prey item like a goat or a sheep and tie it along the bank.
When you talk about the electronic collar, what collar are you using there for the crocs?
Yeah, I'd like not to say.
Is there secrets?
That's one of my secrets. Because I'll tell you why, Andy. I don't want.
Steve, you should tell.
No, I don't want trophy hunters to know what I know and then use the electronic collar for trophy crocs, because to me that's a little bit unethical.
Yeah. No,
Baiting is fine, but electronic
it's a different
collars,
game.
no,
Yeah. Problem animal control and general hunting. There's a lot of ethics that get thrown out the window when you're trying to kill a man-eating creature.
Well, you've got to do what it takes to save life. So the whole approach is
no longer a fair chase thing. You just make it as unfair as possible.
You just got to take it out because you want to recover someone's relative.
Okay, I got you. Baiting, sometimes you do use obviously a goat or
if
dog,
I'm using live bait,
dog, no.
Dog is number one.
Yeah.
But
some people might not like the dog story, but that's all right. Hey,
it's the truth.
You're trying to get rid of
so
a man-eating
you tie what
creature.
it takes on the side of the bank alive. If not, and you've got overnight, baboons are always a popular choice. In villages, there's always many.
Why do dogs like, crocodiles like dogs so much?
I have no idea, but it seems to work.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's their little bark and their, I don't know.
It must be. I think
because you see crocodile. If a crocodile sees a dog, his eyes light up.
Well, you
more
got to
than
think,
anything
if you
else.
tie a goat or a sheep, they just lays down and thinks I'm laying in the sand. But if you tie a dog there, I think the dog knows that there's a problem. So it's a lot more active along. If you're tying it there, it's a lot more active. So the visual stimulation,
Okay.
And then the croc comes in to see what the disturbance is.
And then hopefully shoot the crocodile before he gets the pooch.
I haven't lost a dog yet, but I have lost a couple of goats and sheep.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a video once. Someone filmed this. Someone was. If I wish I had the person's name, but it was some South African camera lady.
Okay.
Anyway, but they were doing a hunt, but the PH put this goat about 5 meters inland from the edge of the water.
Yeah.
And the client was there sitting ready to shoot this croc, and the croc came and lay at the water's edge, and the goat was pegged 5 meters onto land. And obviously they're waiting for the croc to slowly come out and go and this crocodile launched like a bullet out of the water, snatched this goat in one grab and flicked back into the water. The client, I don't think he'd even taken his safety off yet.
Yeah, they're very quick.
It just goes to show you, I wish I had the footage, but I don't. But it just goes to show you, you think you're safe 2 meters from the water. But even 5 meters, if you're sitting down, you're going to struggle to get away from that crocodile.
There's a lot of death where I've gone to where people have been further than that out of the water. So it's very common that guys will catch their little reed rods in the water. They'll peg it in the sand and they'll go sit in the shade. And the croc will come up and grab them before they can stand up and run away and get back in the water. And that's a lot further than 5 meters. Because when they're underwater, they start to pick up speed before they break the surface.
Yeah, I mean, that tail flick gets them that first propulsion,
power,
but they can also run hell of a fast.
Yeah.
I don't know what the speed is, but you look up how fast a crocodile can run.
Yeah, before you can turn and go, by the time you realize what's going on, it's too late.
Yeah. That's a mean predator. There's so many stories of people getting taken by crocodiles. It's a one hell of a scary. I always imagine, this thing grabbing you. If he grabs you, those teeth are just locking. There's no ways you're getting out.
No.
There's no ways. Especially if you're in the water.
You can't do anything.
On land, you can at least have some sort of tug of war. In the water, he is taking you.
Even on land, they're too heavy.
Mm.
So, and you've got to think the bite force
But at least he can't drown you.
The bite force is averaging around 3,000 pounds per square inch.
That's
So
a
a lot of
creature.
people lose limbs. And what I've learned, especially last year, and you'll find this interesting, there's 3 different ladies that had their arms ripped off by a croc, but not men. And I couldn't figure out why there was male victims, but the female, sometimes the arm would get snapped off. Until I went out there and looked at the physical mass. So a man always works with his hands and his arms all day, and he's quite strong. So there's a thicker amount of muscle and bone. Whereas a rural woman probably weighs 55 kgs if she's lucky. There's no obesity in Africa. People are hungry. When the croc grabs her arm and snaps it, it
Ping.
just tears off.
Because
It's not strong enough for the croc to take the whole body into the water, which is something that I only came to think about this last year.
So if you plan on being attacked by a crocodile, you should plan to be thin.
And a woman.
And a woman.
But it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah. These days you probably could organize that. You could become thin and a woman if you were
No,
a man.
thanks.
No,
Yeah.
I'm out. Steve, do you think that you'll carry on doing this kind of work for a long time, or are you about to hang up your boots or what?
Like I said, it's a passion. So as I'm able, I'll keep doing it. I am training a lot of other guys underneath me. My 2 sons have been doing problem animal control for a lot. But I think it's something specific to the person. A lot of big guys that are muscular come out there and they're bravado. You do 1 or 2 bodies and they don't even return your phone calls or ask you for coffee anymore. Then you get other people that are just look like average people and they can handle it. Like I said, some things are different. I did a body recovery a year or 2 ago with a kid, and we hadn't had breakfast, so we pulled the body out, and then I went to the tailgate, started making a sandwich, because I was hungry. But having seen the remains, it didn't quite fit well with that lighty. So yeah, he got very sick very quickly. Hadn't phoned me back in 2 years now. So
Yeah.
it just depends on the person.
No, for sure. Obviously, being Africa, there's a lot of what we call juju or black magic.
Lots.
Have you got any stories where there was involved some juju or black magic?
How many do you want?
Just one for now.
Just one. No, I'll give you a couple.
All right.
So first of all,
But want details, please.
okay, but understand this. A lot of your rural folk, with their lack of formal education, the mystique and the superstition becomes massive. So in many, many areas, when you talk about crocodiles and crocodile death, they believe in mermaids. And that is part and parcel. And they're always black. Just
The
so you
mermaid
know.
is black.
Yeah, 100%. There's no
Okay.
white mermaids in Africa.
And how are they supposed to look?
And they're always female. So when I ask them how do they breed,
No one
if they're
loves a
always
merman.
no. So if I ask them how do they breed if they're always female, then all of a sudden they just can't answer. They give you such a stare, they just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But part and parcel, there's superstition with everything. Hyenas especially, they believe witches own them and ride them. Naked apparently, but I haven't seen any.
But the mermaids, are they good or bad?
They're always bad.
Okay.
And the reason why they say mermaid is if someone's taken into the water, they're never seen again.
So the
So
mermaid
they go
took
into
them.
an underworld and they are trapped there forever.
Okay.
So it's just how it works. But
Okay.
understanding how crocs work and how crocs eat. If there's one big croc, maybe you'll find some remains. If there's more than one, they share the corpse until the person's gone, and that's normally the first or second night. There's nothing left. So it just keeps building that superstition in their minds.
They go under and they never come out.
They go under and they're gone. So
It's
the
just-
mermaids
It's just such a sudden vanishing that it must
it's
be
gone.
magically.
It has to be.
Okay.
And then in a lot of cases, I shoot the crocodile, we pull it out, and then they say, yeah, but it's a shapeshifter. It was a mermaid, and then you shot it, and then it turned into a crocodile. And that happened last week, which is quite amusing. Because I asked the villagers, if I'm hunting and I see a human face in the water, I'm not about to shoot it. And then all of a sudden, because they haven't thought about that aspect, you can see there's a little level of confusion that goes on. But they honestly believe that mermaids turn into crocs when I shoot them and I pull out the croc, not the mermaid. I'd love to shoot a mermaid. I'd become famous, but
So
not so
the
far.
mermaid is a woman
That's correct.
with a human face,
That's correct.
and
Top half is all human. Bottom half is like a fish or like a crocodile tail. So there's a difference with American thinking of mermaids and African thinking. So they,
what is that mermaid that we used to watch? Well, maybe not you, but in my youth, what was her name? Ariel. Was it Ariel?
I don't know. You guys told me
It was a good mermaid, that one. Yeah, with the red hair,
that one. Okay.
the nicest
Yeah, yeah.
scales.
No,
Not
Hey,
like Ariel.
no. They believe, a lot of people here believe mermaids. The bottom half is like a crocodile, not a fish.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a crocodile
And they're
tail.
evil, obviously, because they're
100%. All they do is kill people. Yeah.
Okay. Hyenas, there's a hell of a lot of witchcraft around hyenas. I mean, you can go into certain markets in Africa and buy hyena pieces.
That's correct, and
That
they're
are-
very expensive too.
Yeah, and they like there's specific magic to
Each part, yeah.
the pieces. I mean, that's where how fascinating hyenas are in Africa. They've got such a mystique about them.
So
That they're
I'll give you
parts
some
of
things. I'll give you some ideas. So where we live, if you take the bottom pad off the foot and you
Oh, the
dry
back
it,
pad?
the front and back, just the pad, not the toes.
Okay, yeah.
You dry it out. You take it to a witch doctor. He'll do his little seance over it. Then you wear it around your neck on a chain. It means you can walk into someone's house and they'll never hear you coming. It's like silent. So they use it. Thieves
so
buy those a lot so they can steal and no
so
one
the
finds
thieves
out.
will be wearing the hyena pad.
100%.
That obviously comes from that the hyena can walk so quietly
That's
and
correct.
into
So
a
that-
village and
yes,
into
so
a
then
house
they think
and
it
grab
must,
something
yeah,
and
must
go.
work.
Okay.
And then the other one is to take the whole nose and the top bit of skin, and then if you try it out and you do a little plan with it, then you'll start to think like hyena.
With the nose.
Yeah, just the nose. So it'll give you smarts.
Ah. Because
Apparently.
the hyena obviously smells everything far away. And
So then
like
they
what, he
think,
knows
yeah, it's
everything's
clever.
going
Yeah,
on because
yeah
of
part
this.
of it, because it's
So
one
if
of its
you
best
use
scents.
that,
Yeah.
You do what? You wear it or what?
You wear it underneath your clothing.
And it give you knowledge.
Yeah, I'll
And
give
let
you.
know
And
what's
then if
going
you
on.
get the tail and you shake the tail at your enemy's house, it means you're going to cause dissension in the house and people start fighting and get a divorce. Don't ask me where that comes from.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, so the hyena tail, you can put some...
You
Some
got to
black
you
magic
got to go
on-
shake it. Yeah, put black magic
on your
around your
neighbors.
neighbor's property, even if they're not there, and then it'll cause dissension and big fights and chaos. One of my favorite ones though
That's a good one.
is lion fat.
Oh, yeah? And
Lion
lion
fat.
fat was bravery, surely.
Yeah, it's got a lot of power. That thing, if you render down the fat, it turns into like a butter. It doesn't smell. It smells like just like normal fat or cooking oil.
Okay.
If you rub it on yourself, especially from a male, if you're going to a business meeting or going where there's police or where you're normally under pressure, then everyone else will be terrified of you all of a sudden because they believe that they can the other people can pick up the scent,
Okay.
and there's an instinct that makes them fear you. So whenever I shoot lions, there's always chaos because I'm trying to stop people from stealing the bits and pieces. But fat is the number one.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was working in Tanzania when I was 18, 19, 20.
What, 3 years ago?
No, man, I'm getting old now. That's like 20. Jeez, how many years? My math is terrible. Probably like 15 or something. But
Yeah.
the guys were in a hot pursuit of that lion fat.
No,
You
they
shot
like
the
it.
lion. They were all
Yeah,
and
they
they were
care-
carried in their little bottles.
That's
On
correct.
their
yeah, yeah.
baskoro.
They want
Off
that
they
stuff.
go with that magic.
Yeah.
Have you ever been cautioned about magic? How do you take all this magic?
But you were with me when we went to that house where everyone died mysteriously and no one eats the fruit, and I ate the fruit.
Yeah, I know.
So-
So I kind of believe in some of these things because, for me, it's
Okay,
going
so-
into these people's land.
I want to
You
tell you a
must
story.
respect their beliefs.
No, I want to tell you a story. So there was a lion in Gutu. Now there's no national park anywhere near there for 300 k's. It's in the middle of nothing. So where the lion was staying was it's a big plain with one mountain in the middle, but the mountain is huge. The mountain was used for ancestral worship for many, many years, with even before we can think. It's always been the location for ancestral worship with the witch doctors and the soothsayers and so on, and the witches, always. In fact, when I first got phoned, there were people being killed by this lion When I drove there, there's a dirt road that goes all the way around it. It's a very long drive. Everything on the left side where the mountain was, there was not a fruit picking up. There was not firewood taken. There was not grass taken. The villagers wouldn't cross that road unless they were themselves a witch doctor or something else. And it was a giant mountain.
Land,
Extremely.
no? Okay.
It was like a no-go zone for anyone except a witch doctor or someone involved in ancestral worship. And it just so happens that the lion was living on that mountain. So in my hunting senses, because it's got peace and quiet, but according to everyone around there, it's because it was a spirit lion. So what didn't make sense was in that village, there was 2 different tribes of people from 2 different clans, but the lion would only kill people from one side and not the other. And with technology going forward, one of our local cell phone companies decided because it's the only mountain in the whole area, they'll put a cell phone mast for reception. So they went to different villages and they borrowed donkeys. They put the stuff on the donkeys and they went up the hill. The spirit gourmet.
Okay, but they put the satellites or whatever they're using to
whatever their dishes and their masts for cell phone.
Okay.
So
on a Scotch card, which is what
no.
On a
Just
what?
on the donkey's back because the hills were so steep.
Okay.
So they did that the first day. They put the hardware up there. They went the next morning to get all the donkeys. All the donkeys were dead in all of their individual crawls. And no one could figure it out.
There were no lion bite marks?
No.
Nothing.
In the different homesteads all around the village, those donkeys that climbed the hill were all dead. So when I got there, I'm finding out the story. So National Parks came.
Wow.
It's a man-eating lion. The guys, they had a dead cow from the lion. They dragged it out of the spirit land and put it on that dirt road. They sat in a tree. It was full moon. They waited, hoping the lion would come back for the kill. 9 o'clock at night, they told me they saw a guy walking past on the road. So they shouted at him and said, "What, are you dumb or what's going on? Don't you know there's a man-eating lion in the area?" The guy didn't look at them, kept on walking. They stayed up there the whole night because it's a man-eating lion and they're in a blind. So obviously the next day, sunlight, after an hour or 2 of sunlight, they climbed back down to go and check the bait. And there was no human footprints. There was only lion footprints. So then they were trying to figure out what exactly did they just see. So then those guys packed up their bags and went home. They refused to hunt anymore.
They said,
Yeah, so National Parks, I'm not joking. National Park sent another, this is before I got there. National Park sent another 4 guys. They got 2 live cows. They tied them in the middle of a field that had been harvested. So it was clean like a soccer pitch. They sat in the top of a very, very big mango tree. They put their little tree blind. They're sitting there looking, waiting for the lion. 2 guys looking at that cow, 2 guys looking at that guy. They're all fully armed. 10:30 at night, they tell me they look under the tree. And there's the lion looking up at them. They didn't see it come. They didn't hear it arrive. They just looked straight down and the lion was standing underneath them. So next thing, there's chaos. They were so scared they didn't fire a shot. They just went crazy. They started shouting, throwing mangoes at the lion and to chase it away. They didn't see it leave the area. Now you got to know how, in full moon, how your eyes work. You can see perfectly in rural Africa. They didn't see it come. They didn't see it go. They just looked down and next thing it was gone. Those 4 guys packed their bags and went home the next day and said, "No, thank you," because they had witnessed that. So eventually I arrive on the scene and I hear all the stories. And I think, well, with my educated mind, I can try and put some things together and make it work. But I don't think that this is all true. Maybe they're just scared and lying. So I set up the caller as I do, reversed against the hut, started calling. I didn't see the lion come, but next thing I hear a noise behind me and I shine a spotlight and there's the lion and it's charging the truck. And as I turn on the light, it takes off. I did that 3-4 times, but I couldn't hear it coming. So I realized I'm about to get eaten because it's a man-eater. So I said, "No, I'll come back when there's moonlight." So I packed my bags because it was pitch black by the time I got there. No moon, new moon. Waited 2 weeks for full moon and went back. In the meantime, a few more people got killed, but that's called life. I get back there. I went with my 2 sons, and I reversed right against the hut, so there was no approach from behind me. I put the collar out in front of me. It's a perfectly clear sky, just the mountain on my right. I start playing the collar, and I look with the binoculars. There's full moon. I see the lion start to approach from a little bit far out. While I'm watching the lion, a cloud comes off the hill like a finger and covers the lion, so the lion was standing in the shade.
The shadow.
Correct. Then I looked at the hill. I looked at the sky. There was not a single cloud, but there was a cloud that came off the hill. Now, I can't explain it. And if you would have told me, I would have called you a liar. But I lived it and saw it, and my son saw it. Then as the lion walked towards me, the cloud moved, like, I'm not joking, like the hand on a clock, and covered the lion, so it stayed in the shadow. And then as the lion walked away, the cloud moved and covered it till it was out of rifle shot. So I can't explain it, but that's what I witnessed. Something completely out of the ordinary. So when you talk about...
That's juju.
When you talk about spiritual beliefs and magic, I've witnessed things like that I cannot explain that are real. And I think if the rural people experience them, obviously it goes hand in hand with what they believe. But I saw that for myself. And that night we packed up. The next day I put a live bait and made a tree blind. But I went into the no-go zone on the land. That was sacred to do that. And something else that was very bizarre was everyone kept talking about all the hyenas in the area. But I was there for 3-4 nights. I never heard one. Anyway, I set up a goat and a cow, set up in the tree. The parks guy that was with me was one of the first guys who was telling me he sat in the mango tree. So when I was in my tree blind, he said, I don't want to see the lion or I'll die. So he wrapped himself up in his sleeping bag to where he went head first in the sleeping bag with his feet out the bottom end. So I'm not joking, so he wouldn't have to look at it.
Because he didn't want to risk.
No, he thought if he saw the lion, something would happen to him or his family because we were now on the sacred land, not on normal village property. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
I think about 7 o'clock, the lion came running in and killed the cow, and I shot the lion. And then the parks guy kept saying, you shouldn't have done that. When we go there, we'll find a human because it's a spirit lion. It will do shape-shifting yet again. Anyway, we went there. I radioed for the truck, climbed on the rope into the bed of the truck and did a little sneaky sneak where it had run, and we found the lion dead, and it was a very, very big male that was in its prime. But a lot of spiritual stuff going on with that lion that even I can't explain. So when you talk about strange things happening in Africa, it's not just something that plays with my mind, it's something that I actually witness.
Dallas Safari Club's mission is to ensure the conservation of wildlife through public engagement, education, and advocacy for well-regulated hunting and sustainable use. Join DSC today at biggame.org. You know, I was about, I don't know, like, you know, growing up on the farm and stuff, my maid used to terrify me. She used to tell me all these stories, obviously to get me to listen to her.
Yeah.
She would tell me that, you know, if you don't do this, that man on the moon or that man who lives in the trees or the trees themselves will come and get you, and the monkeys. So I became fearful of the juju stories young, and that's why I think I got the respect for juju, because I don't like to not believe it, because what happens if it happens? Then I need to be prepared. But when I was in Tanzania, when I was about 18, we were cruising, cutting the roads, and we'd sleep wherever we found the water.
Yeah.
So we set up our dinner, we caught our fish, we had some rice, we cooked the rice, and I was sitting around the fire with all these, we call them vibaruas. They're just guys from the village that you open roads with, build camps.
Yeah.
Very raw, proper bush people. And I was sitting around the fire with them. They were in a conversation, so trying to communicate. I didn't know Swahili well at that point. And we're eating these fish and eating the rice or suds, I can't remember. But the bones now, I was throwing them in the fire. I would eat my fish and throw the bones in the fire. And they said, don't throw your bones in the fire. So I said, well, why? And they said, no, there was a poacher long ago, famous poacher. But he was killed by a lion or something like that, but now he turned into a lion. And that poacher also, he liked to eat fish too much. So if he smells the burning bones, then he's going to come and fix us, you know, and get us. And I was like, And they said, you throw your bones over your shoulder backwards, not in the fire.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is rubbish. But anyway, you know what you say, right? Okay, sorry, jeez. Yeah. Throwing the bones over. Anyway, go to bed. I had my little one-man sleeping tent with just a mosquito net, and these guys just slept on the ground. It was actually
Yeah.
on a top wall, and they slept on a top wall, and they had like a sheet. Always had a fire going. I woke up one night with the guy saying, Simba, Simba. And I'm like, and I know enough Swahili now, there's a lion.
Lions there.
And I'm like, is this really happening? You know. And I came out of my tent and I had a rifle, a 416, but I'd been told by my boss, don't you fire any one of these bullets. Come the end of road building season, I want all 16 of these bullets.
Back,
Yeah. Yes, sir. Anyway, I climbed out of my little tent. I was just in my underpants.
Yeah.
And the big Vibarua, his name was Majaliwa, and he was a monster. But he'd grabbed a log, and now I thought he was throwing it at me, because he was where you are, and he threw it, and it whistled past my face, and obviously I turned with it to see what's going on, and it hit this male lion in the chest about 3 meters behind me. There were 2 females on either side of this lion. And you know, like the Lion King, where they're fighting in the sparks and whatever. That's what this lion did. My knees went weak. And then I managed to shoot a shot into the air in my panic. And all the lions ran away. And we climbed onto the cruiser. And I just sat there thinking, and now it was my fault.
So now you
they were like, wow.
So now you no longer
you
throw
see
your
now.
bones in the fire.
You see now, yeah. So there's like you say, there's often truth to these things. I don't know why, how. I mean, it's just yeah. I think you gotta kind of respect the black magic.
Well, let's put it this way: when I go into an area, especially like I said with man-eating lions, I'm often walking around at night looking for them, and it's a whole new game. It's not. You can't even describe what it's like unless you've done it. Because whether you're a Christian or not, or a Muslim or not, it does wonders for your prayer life to walk around at night with these man-eating lions. So you hear people praying to all kinds of things. But the spiritual aspect is always there.
Yeah.
So I've done that. You're asking close calls. I've had so many, I can't count. Between lions, elephants this last month, leopards charging, crocs trying to take me out. It makes it fun. It's what I call the man kind of fun, without being funny. But you can't. If I tell the truth, people say I'm lying. So then I normally don't tell my stories because they're that different.
Yeah.
That most people, they can accept the truth.
For
They've watched too much Disney. They've watched too much National Geographic. They've watched too much Discovery Channel for their whole life. So they don't have a sense of what is actually real, just what they've been spoon-fed. So, yeah, it's a difficult topic to talk about when especially problem animal control and human death, because most people are never exposed to it on any level.
Yeah, for sure. Elephant is one of those animals that everybody thinks is so nice and docile and whatever. But when you get an elephant that's angry, it's a serious problem. Have you ever had any close calls with elephants? Can you maybe tell us a story or two?
Well, you have to remember that during the human-wildlife conflict in a village, most elephants are chastised. They've had firebrands thrown at them. We mentioned one earlier. They get shot at with all kinds of weapons that they have. They're trying to protect their family, their livestock, their crops.
So a lot of these elephants that become problem animals,
they've had
an incident with
everyone
humans
that goes past either shoots them with a catapult or a shotgun or an old 303 or a 22.
trying to get them out of their fields and
That's
whatever.
correct. So the majority are very, very aggressive to start with. It's very different to, let's say, elephant hunting in a concession or hunting area or national park. This is something that's different again. So you always have to have your wits about you because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Or you don't know what that elephant's been exposed to.
That's absolutely correct.
Uh-huh.
There's one that I shot, I'd say 2 years ago now, that killed 7 people in a row, just went crazy, got into a village setting on purpose, and just started flattening people.
So obviously he had some sort of vendetta.
No idea what had happened previous, whether it was wounded or not, I couldn't tell. Went after the elephant in some thickets. I started hearing a lot of noise behind me, and I turned around, and the elephant was actually with his trunk smelling, following me, looking for me. And I was at a fast walk. So I ran in a big circle, and I stopped, And sure as anything, I watched in amazement, watching the elephant walk past me in a circle, smelling what I'd walked to, and was actively hunting me. And I thought I was hunting the elephant. So obviously when it stood perfectly, then I shot it. But it had just killed 7 people, and now it was actively hunting me. It was a bit bizarre. So there's always the unknown. Like I said, you just don't know what's going to happen next. I think that's why problem animal control is a bit refreshing. It's not the monotony of hunting, because there's always a new experience to be had.
I know when I come out with you, it's quite fun because there's always a story. You know what I mean? The locals have always got something, and it's always quite exciting as well because there is witchcraft thrown in and all these beliefs, and that's probably the part I enjoy the most about it. Of course, there's the element of enjoying the actual hunt.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is enjoying finding
the
out
people, finding
people.
the backstory, knowing what's going on, how many years they've been there. There's always the human side, and I think that's never really shown. We always talk about trophy size or animal, but very few people ever talk about what happens to a family if a member gets taken out. What happens to someone, like I said, if they're maimed permanently. Especially in a rural setting, your physical ability is what gives you value. So if you lose your hands like that other woman, she can't cook, she can't clean. She becomes a nothing in society because she's disabled. There's no grace in a rural setting for someone that's disabled.
Yeah.
So it's life-altering events we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. It is very sad to see people that have been affected by wildlife trying to get on with their lives. I know I saw that kid in Kariba who lost his arm to a crocodile.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the fact that he'd lost his arm. He was depressed, but it wasn't the fact that he'd lost his arm.
Yeah.
The fact that he was depressed, the reason he was depressed is because his parents had used all the money and borrowed from the family to make sure he didn't die, so that now he was unable to go to school. And that's why he was depressed. Because he watched every day all his mates head off to school.
Yeah.
With that story, fortunately, somebody actually donated some money from the story that I did on it. So that kid is going to school, which is fortunate. But if it wasn't for that person,
so if you and I aren't there telling the stories, then those things will never happen.
It's true,
and no one knows. That's the truth.
And it's kind of our responsibility as hunters, I think, because, hunters, conservationists, same thing. We tell the locals, don't kill the animals, don't kill all the animals, because we need these animals for our as a renewable source of income, and so that our grandkids can see them or whatever. But they're the people that are actually living every day with these animals, trying to kill them, trying to eat their crops.
That's correct.
Chasing their kids whilst the kids are walking to school. So when something does happen, when an animal does attack a human in those areas, we're kind of responsible for it in a way, because we're responsible for trying to keep the animals there. So when things like that do happen, I feel very obligated to help those people, because
so
it's
just to mention, one of the things I've been involved with is putting, as you know, African bush pump and boreholes in areas where there's been a lot of crocodile attack. You go to the hotspots, drill a borehole, put the pump, and then there's no more a problem, because the people aren't going to the river for water. The water quality is better as far as sickness, disease. So the people are never in contact with the crocodiles that have been killing them. So there is things that we can do to mitigate human-wildlife conflict, but it's got to be something that is tangible to the people on the ground, because then they have now a reason to go and kill that animal, because they no longer are in conflict.
Yeah.
So there are things that can be done to stop the conflict. But like I said earlier, the reality is too many prime predators, too many crocodiles. I don't see this problem going away anytime soon.
Yeah. Another question. Have you or anyone in your family taken any trophy animals that are of epic proportions?
In what way?
Well, just generally speaking, as in terms of trophy hunting.
Generally, yes. What is also surprising, your human-wildlife conflict, people don't have an understanding. Let me just talk about hyenas for a minute because it's an easy one. People watch National Geographic. They watch Tanzania. They see an area that's got a high population of predators where there's competition, not just from lions and hyena conflict, but also hyena clans. The hyenas are smaller in proportion. Genetics are different. You come where we are, and you've got no competition for food, and livestock is a food source which has got a lot more fat, etc. So you do that for some generations, and you end up with some monsters. So it's interesting that you ask about trophies, because a lot of the problem animals, especially like your crocs and hyenas and lions, that I end up disciplining, end up being larger than normal. Especially with hyenas. I've shot many over 100 kilos, which is abnormal. You look at crocs of phenomenal length. And like I said, lions.
There's that one crocodile picture of yours that went a bit viral. Was that your crocodile?
That's correct. The one with all the people sitting behind it on a wall.
Yes.
If I just say that, people will know the one.
Yeah. How big was that crocodile?
Everyone asked me, but I want to answer the question in my way.
Yeah.
I think that I've been doing this, like I said, last year 35 years, this year 36. If you work out an average of 20 crocs a year, that'll give you an idea of how many I have shot that have been large. And to me, a trophy for me personally, doing human-wildlife conflict, is to shoot the croc that killed the person. I think that has a lot more tangible meaning to me than a length.
Yes, but I'm asking you about length.
I'm answering it in my roundabout way. So when people ask me what length it was, my wife doesn't know.
Yeah.
My kids don't know. I say it doesn't matter. I've shot bigger, believe it or not. I've shot smaller. I let my pictures do the talking. It's very strange to me. Every time I post a picture, people say, "Oh, it's photoshopped." I'm like, "No, I got nothing to prove."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this croc here, I actually picked up in the Zambezi. I don't know if I should be saying this. I don't think I was supposed to pick it.
Not in the Zambezi.
Okay, well, I picked in the Mazoe. Anyway, this is about...
You picked it in the bush.
Yeah, I picked it. No, I didn't even pick it. Somebody else picked it.
And gave to you. Just as red.
It's epic. Anyway,
You should have brought mine.
So somebody else picked this, and this is, what do you think this is? I think is it 14 maybe?
Between 13 and 14, I reckon.
Hey, come on,
maximum.
Man. At least 14.
Well, I've got the ones at home for over 16, so you should have asked me for those ones.
What, you got the skulls at home?
Yeah.
Over 16?
Yeah. I'll show you
Holy
a picture.
smokes. Was that a pickup? Or
no, when I shot, I've been doing this, like I said, 35 years.
Yeah, that's long. That's as long as I've been alive.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a long time. Yeah. But Steve, thank you so much for telling us all your stories. We could probably talk stories for
like
years.
I said, at least, exactly, a long time.
Yeah, you've got a hell of a lot of stories. You do a lot of good for a lot of people. So keep it up. And we look forward to doing some more problem animal control videos.
We have that call out now. So
for This is Africa, the TV show.
This is Africa, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a crocodile
hyenas
one soon,
and
I think.
crocs as well, yeah.
Yeah, more
got
hyenas.
lots of call outs.
Hyenas never stop.
Yeah.
Neither do the crocodiles.
Yeah.
But we need to get busy on the crocodiles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you can put some of those pictures on there so people can see how big they get.
Yeah. That's very interesting work that you do. So thanks for popping in and chatting to us. Folks, thank you for watching another episode of This is Africa, the podcast. Keep watching. We'll see you next time right here in studio. Bye. Folks, are you dreaming of the African bush and a damn good hunt? Get hold of me at www.tiafive.com. That's tiafive.com. Let's go hunting.